Good evening, gentlemen. Another edition of the GFFL podcast coming to you live from the cold state of Wisconsin. Election fever is all over. A lot of drama in my state. I don't know about yours, but outside of what I read from all the marijuana and heroin busts and people shooting each other down in Laurel because they don't like each other, I don't know. A lot going on, lots of drama. So let's get into the fun and action that was last week. Take a look at things here. Let's look at the transaction log. Let's see. Last week, Brad cut Matt Bryant, added Chandler Catanzaro or something. He's not Italian, so whatever. Tony finally gave up on Maurice Jones-Drew. Pick up the Vikings defense. And let's see, who else made moves? Chris cut Kirk Cousins. Added Odell Beckham from wide receiver of the Giants, I believe. Fish cut the Falcons defense. Added Brian Hoyer, the quarterback, holding the spot warm for that other dipshit from Texas A&M. Fish cut Joe Flacco. Added Andrew Hawkins of the Cleveland Browns. And then the commissioner's been playing around with the lineups. He also was trying to do something with the quarterbacks to get everything in line so everybody could see. So the quarterback totals were run obvious with everything, but I don't know if that ever worked out. So on to bigger and better things. Before we go into the scores, a little fun for you all. This just in. Decision 2014. So, from the latest at the polls in Fayette County. Why? Because I care, that's why. So, give you kind of an update of from my inside sources. About 15 minutes ago, 28 of 28 precincts reported in Fayette County. That's unofficial, of course. Superior Court race, Paul Freed wins over the Fraley guy. I never even heard of the guy, didn't even know if he existed. He wins 3,300 to 2,374. For recorder, Nutty defeats McQuinley pretty handily. Your new sheriff in town is going to be Joey Laughlin, which shocks the world out of me. I went to school with Joey. I can't picture him being sheriff. He's more like One Bullet Barney. For county commissioner, the King guy over Wolf, probably good to get that nut job out of there. County council, some Winnetka person went over Pennington, Wise over Grajowski, and Nobby over Reese. Fayette County School Board, one of Brad's good friends, they might have been secret lovers at one point, Ann Kirshner defeats Ruffin Jones. And for the two races that the GFFL cares about the most. For prosecutor, a proud sponsor of the GFFL podcast, Betty Joe Jim John Jones III defeats Bodwell 33,000 to 2,300. Easy win. And the important one of the night, one of the proud first ladies of the GFFL, Gertrude Whitaker, is going to go take the auditor's office over by storm. She wins by about 500 votes, unofficial account, of course. And then Tony's cousin or brother, I'm not quite sure what the Isaac's guy is to Tony, and Greg, but he wins. He has 686 votes, a decent showing, but not enough to pull it off. So that's unofficial, of course. Don't take that too far. Just go with what you will on that. So back to the important matter at hand, back to the GFFL scores and such. So, big news out of the NFL today. Adrian Peterson accepted a plea deal. He is going to do 80 hours community service, pay a fine of like $4,000, which is a shoelace for him. And rumor has it, the NFL has not made a decision yet. Last I saw was that the NFL may suspend him, but most likely he's going to pay a fine and he's going to be back to work. I don't know if he'll be back to work this week, or they may have him sit up the rest of the year and start fresh next season. We'll wait and see how that plays out. But I'm waiting for somebody to go out and pick him up, take a flyer on him on the waiver wire. So Upward and onward. We'll start with probably the game that mattered the most. Wade and Brad was the battle for first place in the division. Wade, it was a tough week for Wade because his Packer overloaded with Packer players. They were on bye, so it really hurt him, and that's what really was the tail of the tape for there. Wade had a perfect coaching at 100%, but it wasn't enough. Kaepernick got him 14. DeMarco Murray, first game this season, he didn't break 100 yards, only had 90 yards rushing, tacked on a few others, didn't find the end zone, 6 points. Murray's been really carrying Wade, too, in the running back position. Alvin Williams only got him 8 points, 46 yards, and a TD. Needed 4 more for 3 bonus. That would have made things a little bit more interesting. Anquan Bolden, 12 points. What kills Wade is Patterson and Reed, his 2 receivers. Patterson for the Vikings, Reed for the Redskins, 0 points. To get 0 points out of 2 of your receivers, you expect at least get 3 or more. 0 points really hurts in a week that he needed to perform for him. Gostkowski comes through with 13 points, and the Eagles defense only 6. For Brad, he got extremely lucky. Normally, your quarterbacks, you expect a couple good points, but Phillip Rivers had probably the worst game of his career that I can recall. Only had 138 total yards passing, 2 points total for Phillip Rivers. A terrible week for him. Matt Stafford was on bye, so really wasn't an option there. But the way Rivers is playing, you're going to stick with him. But what saves Brad in the end is Arian Foster and Mark Ingram. Mark Ingram comes off the disabled list and shows up when Brad needs him most with Forte on bye. 24 points. Foster keeps doing what Foster does, 18 points. Eddie Royale with Cheese, 0 points. That kind of counterbalances part of that with Wade. Randall gets him 2 points, a yard short of 3. Josh Brown with Arizona, only 7 yards, got 2 receptions, 2 points. His big transaction, Catanazzo, or however you say that Italian name, has 4 points for him. And the Seahawks defense comes through for him, 13 points. So 3 players in double figures for Brad, but with Ingram scoring 24 big points, that seals the deal. 64-59 final. Brad wins it, takes first place in the division. Wade, there was nothing on Wade's bench that would have helped him. Brad, the only thing that would have helped Brad on his bench was Oliver, or not even Oliver, but if he starts Welker, he gets a point out of Welker. So really, it didn't matter in the end. What killed Wade was really not getting those 3 extra points out of getting 3 points somewhere between Patterson and Reed. That would have made a world of difference in that game. Would have pushed it to a tie and then taken it to the tiebreaker, and Wade would have won the tiebreaker, but he failed. So, other good game this week was between Chris and Tony. This was Tony needing to win this week. It was a very important week for Tony to win. Tom Brady comes out throwing bullets, 31 points. Marshawn Lynch, 22 points. Shane Vereen, 11 points. That's a great pickup for Tony. Des Bryant, a so-so week because of the change in quarterback there, 7 points. LaFell, 12 points. Cooks, 1 point. Shane Graham, 4. And the Bengals defense, 9. He totals out 97 points. Massive total. I believe that was the second or third highest total in the week last week. Chris, Drew Brees, 20 points. Ronnie Hillman, 17. Out of nowhere, Ronnie Hillman. Andre Ellington, 16 points. A good week. Pierre Garçon, kind of stinking up the place, only a point. But Odell Beckham, the pickup off the waiver wire, 156 yards, 13 points. Gronkowski, 16. Hauschka, 12. And the Texans defense, which is an incredible defense, has 18 points. Chris totals 113, beating Tony 113-97. Julian Edelman on Tony's bench would have given him 13 more points, which would have made it a little bit interesting, but that was the only thing Tony could have done to improve his odds. For Chris, Matt Asada had 23 points. He left him on the bench, but Hillman and Ellington still scored in double figures. Really didn't matter much. Bobby Rainey had 121 yards. Dwayne Bowe had 6, but not really anything he needed to do. He still goes on and wins. Puts Tony out of the playoff picture. Tony's playing for pride like another owner, and tough week all around. So, but don't give up, Tony. You can still be a spoiler. That's what I did last year and had a lot of fun doing it. Rickman and Jonesy. This one was a battle of two very tough teams. Both of them with similar records. Jonesy, of course, with Peyton Manning, 26 points. You can't go wrong there. Donald Brown, 29 yards. Didn't do well. Chargers didn't do well at all, period, this week. It was terrible. Chris, Ebony, and Ivory, 1 point. Not a very good week there. Marcus Colson, 1 point. Not a very good week there. Jason Witten, 6 points. Didn't find the end zone, but still did well. Julius Thomas, 7 points, 33 yards, but only 1 TD. Adam Vinatieri, his second highest point total comes out of your kicker with 16 points. It's going to be a rough week when you do that. And the Colts defense, 5. For him, Hearns, the Jacksonville wide receiver, would have got him 21 points, which would have made him a winner. He swaps out Hearns for Colston or Witten or Thomas. He wins. Instead, he loses. As for Dennis, 30 points out of luck, 10 points from McCoy. Trenton Richardson, it's tough to decide whether or not you want to play that guy or not. 1 point for him. T.Y. Hilton, 10 points. Hopkins from Houston, 15 points. Calvin Benjamin, only 1 point. And Dawson, Amanda's brother, 4 points. And the Cardinals defense, 5. Rickman gets 76 points, wins the game. Only thing he could have done different maybe is start Sturgis over Dawson and got him 13 points. But there, Rickman wins, going away, 76-62. As for Fish and Greg, a very close game, nip and tuck the whole way, back and forth, back and forth. Fish starts Brian Hoyer. Hoyer, 18 points. Great game for him. Ahmad Badshaw, 4 points. Didn't find the end zone, but still got 4 points. Jamal Charles, Charles in charge, 13 points. Antoine Brown, probably the steal of the draft, I think, if you ask me. 20 points for him. Andre Hawkins, 1 point. Mohamed Sanu coming into his own in that offense, especially with Green being out, 14 points. Bailey, 6 points, and the Niners for 5, give him a total of 81 for the week. For Greg, Andy Dalton, 17 points. Justin Forsett, 7. Lamar Miller, 11 points. Demaryius Thomas only got him 9, couldn't find the end zone. That would have helped him huge. Emmanuel Sanders, 14 points. A.J. Green, his first week back, 41 and a TD, 7 points. Needed that 9 extra yards. If he could get 9 more yards out of Green there, he wins. McManus, 3 points, and the Patriots D got him 11. Net and Greg, 79 points, 81-79. Rish wins. Rish could have started Alfred Morris at running back over Bradshaw. Would have got him 17 more points for a total of 21. Or he could have started Vincent Jackson, 6 more points for him. But he was going for the hook up there with Hawkins with the Browns defense. So for Greg, he's been riding Dalton. 17 points is a great week, but Tannehill would have got him 22. And then Jermaine Hill for the Bengals would have got him 28 points if he went that route, but he still had pretty good points there. And then Torrey Smith would have got him 11 points there. So a couple moving pieces there for Greg. He's got to decide what's the best piece to plug in on his lineup. And it's going to be tough week to week as we get closer to the playoffs. But we'll see. And then on to the game that doesn't matter. It was a rough and a brutal week for me. It's very hard to deal with this, but my season is officially over. O-V-E-R. I'm back to playing spoiler. I think I've been in the league. League's been around 17 years. I think I've been 15 of the 17. I think I've only made the playoffs, I think 5 or 6 out of those. So, on paper at the draft night, I had the best bet. Everybody thought I had the best team on paper, but it just goes to show you never can tell what's going to happen week to week. So, just to give you the kind of the breakdown of how things worked out. Nicky Foles got hurt, which killed me from the get-go. If Foles plays the whole game, and it's a different story, I think I have a chance. Denard Robinson's pickup for me was huge. 15 points was a great pickup. McKinnon, 68 yards, 5 TDs. You would think the guy would get a little end zone touch, because he is running the ball primarily for him, but instead they get 3 times to Sada. So, fuck you, Vikings offensive coordinator. Deshaun Jackson, 14 points, starting to level out there. Mike Wallace, 50 yards on the button, 4 points. Jimmy Graham got me 12. Nick Novak, 0. Got me a big goose egg. Panthers defense, still pretty solid for me, 8 points. Where I went wrong was not starting Blair Walsh. He would have got me 3. And other than that, that's all I could have done. There wasn't nothing else that was going to help me none. As for Kurz, Kurz could beat me with 2 players. That tells you anything. 2 players, he beats me. I put up 67 points, and to lose to 2 players kills you. We'll start with everybody but the big one. The Browns defense got him 6. Tucker got him 5. Vernon Davis got him 1. Keenan Allen got him 2. Le'Veon Bell got him 11. And Ben Tate, not Tate, Chris, got him 2. And the 2 that beat me, Jeremy Maclin blew 27 points, 158 yards, 2 TDs. And Roethlisberger, I know you've, quote unquote, you run your head through a plate glass window of a car. You have inappropriate relations with 2 ladies. Well, not convicted, of course. And you put up 5 touchdowns the week before, and you put up 6 this week, but you only threw for 340 yards. So I don't know where this is coming from. This is un-Roethlisberger-like numbers. He sets a league record, or ties a league record with 6 TDs, throwing TDs in a game. 41 points. You talk about getting thumped by a Jew. I did. Roethlisberger did it. He busted my chops. So between Macklin and Roethlisberger, I was beat 68-67. Kurz didn't need to start anybody else. So just a sad, sad week all around, and not much I can do about it. So on to other things. Our friend AJ Walker has a few comments about me getting out of the league. Man, it's a travesty, man. One up Freddie Marcus be in this league forever. He should get a reprieve, man. Ain't there no respect? He's the only cracker in this league. Act like he got some sense. You boys need to let him in. You need to let him in the playoffs out of pity, because he can't pick a team for shit. You let that boy in that league. What you talking about, Roland? All right, thanks AJ for that vote of confidence. So onward to what's coming up this week. Let's take a look at the standings first and see who's doing what here. In the North, Rickman is 6-3, head of the division by a head-to-head over Jonesy. Jonesy's second with 6-3. Rickman's 5-1 in division. That's how you win a division. You go 5-1 in your division. Jonesy is 6-3. He's 2-3 in the division. Chris is still hanging on at 5-4, 2-3 in the division. Greg is 5-4. He is 3-1 in the division. Greg's on a two-week losing streak, making it rough for him. But it's time for him to. Greg can hang tough. I think Greg can still pull it out and win that division, if not the whole thing. So on to the South. Brad is 7-2. He is 5-0 in the division. 5-0. Wade, he's probably out partying right now with Gertrude celebrating the big victory in the yield election. Wade's 6-3, taking second. Fish is 6-3. Wade's 3-1 division. Fish is 3-2. Kurz got his second victory, so he's no longer in last place. He's 2-7. He's out of winning the division, but he can still make the playoffs. He has to go on an epic run. It can happen, occurs. I had put one together last year, fell a hair short, but it can still happen for you. And then me, I'm 1-8, and who gives a shit because I'm out. So, on to next week's games. Take a look at things here. We'll take a look at mine and Tony's first. Me and Brad are playing each other. If there's any game I'm going to get up for, it's going to be this one. So for this week, Brad's going to probably start Stafford, of course, because Philip Rivers is on bye. He desperately needs it. Forte is going to be back in the game for him. Ingram, Roddy White, Calvin Johnson right now. I'm not sure if he's going to play or not. He's still a game-time decision. Last I saw, he's out. He had a practice full on Monday and on the track to play Sunday against the Dolphins, according to the Detroit Free Press. We'll see. Calvin Wright, Tennessee from Baltimore, he's going to get 3, and he's going to got, of course, the Italian, the Cataranzo or whatever. We're just going to call him. He needs a nickname, something bad. Seahawks defense, Calzone. That's what we're going to call his kicker. Brad's kicker's name is Calzone. And then the Seahawks D, he's going to obviously start there. So he's got Welker on the bench. You may think about playing Welker, but for Wright, but we'll see. As for me, I'm going to have to make some wholesale changes across the board. Nick Foles, of course, is out, so I'll probably plug in Russell Wilson and hope for the best. They're playing the Giants, and the Giants suck. They just suck. So hopefully Russell can have a good week there. Steven Jackson will probably make his way back in the starting lineup. No, Eddie Lacy probably will. I'll have to decide if I'm going to start Denard Robinson against Dallas or if I'm going to start Steven Jackson against Tampa Bay. That'll be a decision I'll have to make. Larry Fitzgerald will probably be back in the lineup this week because Deshaun Jackson's on a bye. So we'll put Fitzgerald in there. Mike Wallace from 60 Minutes will be back. He'll be playing receiver again too. And Jimmy Graham, of course, will stay at receiver. Kicker. Both of my kickers are on bye this week, so I have to make a decision. Do I want to blow $2 on a kicker for good measure? I probably should because it's the right thing to do. So I'll probably blow a transaction on the kicker because I didn't plan too well when I made my draft. So we'll do that one there. As for Tony and Greg, the battle of the brothers of Isaac. Greg, he's going to make some changes to his defense. He's going to have to swap somebody out for the Patriots D. Dalton, I think he's going to stick with Dalton. I don't know. You never know with Greg. Greg's good about pulling something out of his hat. At first you're like, what the hell? But then it makes perfectly good sense. Justin Forsett, Lamar Miller, Demaryius Thomas, Emmanuel Sanders, Green, McManus, and then he'll do something. A couple of plays he's got on his bench. He's got Hill for the Browns. He may want to plug him in for Forsett or Miller for that matter, either or. Reggie Bush, hard telling what they're going to do with him. Torrey Smith, you may want to bring him in. They're playing Tennessee. You may consider playing him for Sanders. You never know, though. As for Tony, Tony's got some decisions to make because Brady is on bye. Romo is out. Oh, my back. At least last I heard he's out. Let me see if he took part in a light walkthrough session today. That doesn't mean anything. So he may have to make a decision there, and I think he will. Marshawn Lynch, he's obviously going to stick with him. Running back, he'll either go with Zach Stacy or Zach Stacy. That's probably who he's going to go with there. Receiving core, of course, he's going to stick with Dez Bryant. He's going to swap somebody out for LaFell. Either be Williams or Williams. That's his choices. So, and then Brandon Cooks, Shane Graham at kicker. With Mason Crosby, with the Packers being back, it may not be a bad idea to start Mason Crosby against the Bears. That's a perfect game there. That and I haven't seen the weather report lately for Green Bay for this weekend. So, and then the Bengals defense, he'll start them against Cleveland. That's tomorrow night or Thursday night. So that'll be a good game to watch there. So unfortunately, I can't watch it because I don't have cable. But that's okay. Life will be all right. As for Chris and Jonesy, the literate versus the illiterate. Chris, he's going to stick with Breeze. That's why he got him, so he's going to keep playing him. Ronnie Hillman, he's getting the end zone, keep playing him. Andre Ellington there. Receiving core, he's going to make a decision there. He'll probably start Dwayne Bowe. He'll have to start Dwayne Bowe and Julio Jackson. He's going to have to stick with Odell Beckham, Gordon Beckham's brother, I think. Then Hauschka at his kicker. Defense, he's going to put the Buccaneers D in this week against Atlanta. That may not be a bad call there because Matt Ryan tends to let the ball go against Tampa Bay, so we'll see. Jonesy, he's going to stick with Manning, of course. Why wouldn't you? He'll stick with a Manning, either Peyton or Eli. Either way, he's playing Manning. Running back, Bernard's out. Hulu is on bye. So if Jonesy has any transactions left, he's going to have to make one. Forgive my dog, Bella. Chris Ivory, he's going to stick with him because he has no other choice. Marcus Colston, Jason Witten, and Julian Thomas. Golden Tate's back this week. You got to start Golden Tate, and if you don't, you're crazy. And then you may consider Hearns against Dallas. That may be a game where you get a lot of garbage yards, but we'll see. Vinatieri's on bye, so he's going to start Prater. And then the Colts defense is on bye, so he's going to start the Broncos D. So there, I think that game there, if you look at it on paper, it's kind of a toss-up, but I think Chris's receivers are stronger, and his running back play is going to be a little bit stronger. So I give Chris the edge there, not by much, but a little bit. So onward and upward. Wade and Kurz, the battle of the NBA versus the PhD. Wade, Aaron Rodgers is back. He's going to play Rodgers. He's going to play Jordy Nelson. You're going to play Randall Cobb. You know that much. DeMarco Murray, going to play DeMarco against Jacksonville. Who wouldn't? Alvin Williams against Seattle. You may consider D'Angelo Williams there or Darren McFadden. Just depends. Anquan Bolden. You probably, I don't know if you'll stick with him or not. You got your second receiver, whoever you decide to go with your third receiver, you're going to have to go with Bolden because your other two are out. Kicker-wise, he's going to go with Swisham. Because Gostkowski's out. Eagles defense. You start the Eagles defense, you start the Bears. I think I'd start the Eagles defense because I think you're more likely to get a turnover or a run back there. As for Kurz, Roethlisberger, I don't see Roethlisberger putting up 7 touchdowns, but the way he's playing, you got to keep riding that horse. Cutler may not be a bad play either against the Packers, but their defense on a bye, I stay with Roethlisberger there. As for running back, you've got Le'Veon Bell. You're going to stick with him. Been a great pickup there. You could go with Jaquez Bell or West from Cleveland. Either one there can play out, or you stick with Tate. I think you're going to swap out Bell there. Jeremy Maclin had a great game yesterday. Stick with him. Watkins, I like Watkins there against Kansas City. I think it could be a good play. Vernon Davis, I look to maybe plug him out with somebody else. Marcellus Bennett, I think will have a better day in Green Bay than Vernon Davis will. Vernon Davis hasn't been what he was 2 years ago. So just Tucker, your kicker, you're sticking with him because you don't have another kicker. Browns D or Chiefs D, horse apiece. You kind of take the risk. Do I play the Browns on Thursday night, or do I take a chance on the Chiefs on Sunday? So hard telling there what you're going to do, Kurz, but I think your line's pretty stacked the way it is right now. As for Fish and Dennis Rickman, this game here, we'll see how it plays out. Fish, Matt Ryan will be probably back at starting quarterback, even though Weir had a good game. Running back, you're probably going to plug in Frank Gore or Sankey or Sanka, however you want to start it. Or Jamal Charles will stay right there. And then, you want to say hi to the fellas, Bell Dog? Yeah, say hi to the fellas. Say hi to the fellas. There's Bella, my dog. The true what you talking about, Roland. So, anyhow, let's see, where were we? Oh, yeah, Brandon Marshall, he's back. You're going to probably play him. I think Sanu, just keep Sanu, you keep Brown, I think you throw in Marshall there. I think that's a good week for him. Dan Bailey for Dallas, kicker over Mike Ted Nugent on Thursday night. And then the Niners defense, because that's all you got, so you're going to keep riding that horse. As for Dennis Rickman, he's the only guy I know that's got a whole chain of restaurants named after him. He's got some decisions to make because bye week has hit his team. Luck is going to be out, so he's going to start Cameron Newton, the Fig Newton. McCoy's going to play. He's either going to start Trey Mason or Crowell at running back. I think Trey Mason's the way to go there. T.Y. Hilton's on bye, so he's going to start Steve Smith. Denard Hopkins is on bye, so he's going to start Alshon Jeffrey. He's been great for the Bears this year. Pretty solid player for him. And then Calvin Benjamin, you're going to stick with him. Kicker-wise, I don't know. I like Sturgis against the Lions over Amanda Dawson on it. But that's up to you, buddy. Cardinals or Bills. Cardinals defense. I stick with the Cardinals D. I think that's the way to go. So that's how it breaks up for this coming week, fellas. So congrats to all those that won in the election. We'll see how it plays out. As for this week, it's going to be rough for me, but we'll see. I'll still try and play the spoiler alert. We'll see how it goes, though. But other than that, that is all she wrote, fellas. So remember, get your picks in, get your lineups in, and don't be afraid to make a transaction. Even if it's one too many, Tony. Nice try, but you did it. So